What's up, guys? Welcome to our pilot episode of the I Just Want to Know podcast. I'm your host, Alan K., accompanied by your other hosts, Karmel Humphreys.
Yo.
What's going on?
Man, look at the set, right?
This set is amazing.
I'm telling you.
I am excited to get this going.
Shout out to Higher Power Studios for letting us use this joint.
This is an amazing setup. A great way to start a podcast off, right?
Yeah. Got our boy Ryan Kick Beats in the studio in the building.
He will be part of a lot of the episodes, majority of the ones that we don't, when we don't have a guest like today. Definitely want to go over, what our purpose is, why, kind of who we are, how often we're going to do this, what you should expect, and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, right? So Karmel, what is this podcast? What are you trying to get out of this?
I'm trying to get educational with this. I just want to know. So I just want to know the things that I don't know. Like if it's medicine, if it's business, finance, if it's working out.
Right.
Women.
Right.
Especially women, because I just want to know a lot, because there's a lot I don't know.
Man, I think that's just a man thing in general. We just don't know anything about women.
I'm a perpetual student when it comes to women. So that's what I'm thinking I'm getting out of this.
Right.
We'll have guests who can hopefully speak to that.
Right.
And some who probably won't, because they'll be in the same boat as us. So, but we'll chop it up. We'll see what happens.
Right. I know for me right now is just, I want to get back down to having conversations, not in a matter of just saying things, more of connecting on a humane level, whether that be women, whether that be any other topic, any other industry, just pretty much getting into, and I hate to use the word vulnerable as a man, but pretty much getting to a vulnerable state where we could talk about what it means to us, emotions and everything like that. Getting away from the media perspective, a social media perspective of commenting and sharing. I definitely want to get into like an engaged, conversing and connecting. Yeah. And get it pure and intent for that way.
Because that's, with social media, it's so not genuine, and it's so like, I don't learn any. There's probably 3 or 4 pages I follow that I learn anything from. The other 1,000 people I follow, they're posting the same stuff that everyone else is posting. Here's what I'm eating. Here's where I'm going. Like me for this, like me for that, and we all fall in that trap to some degree. But like, it's like, if I post, because people post stuff about not caring what people think, but you posted it. Like, you literally care what people think. That's why you posted it. And if you post something like about not caring what people think and no one liked it, did you take it down?
Right. It's funny because it's like on Facebook, people do that too, where they're like, I'm getting rid of Facebook. Oh my God, I'm not letting social media, whatever. And then they'll deactivate their account. Or they'll wait for the people to comment and like on that status. Of course. And then they'll delete it, quote unquote. But then all of a sudden you see in the next week, oh, all right, I'm ready to be back on this now. It's like social media thing. And yeah, like, we're so much on the surface these days. We're so, we're predicating our opinions based on likes and an image of what we want to portray, but nobody's ever real anymore.
No.
Everybody's afraid to actually talk about things because they're afraid that it might offend somebody else. People don't know how to disagree cordially. They don't know how to agree to disagree. Like you're saying, people just want to comment because this is what the popular thing to do is. Yeah. And then that's a lot of thing too. Like I see on social media and just with people in general, they do things to try to appeal to everybody else to oh, this is what I'm doing. You're not actually doing it for yourself. You're doing it to try to have other people look at what he's doing. But I mean, that's not pure anymore. No.
The big thing on Facebook is when someone's birthday, rolls around, everyone says happy birthday.
Right.
But if you didn't see on Facebook when their birthday was, would you say happy birthday? Like, I don't post my birthday on Facebook.
Right.
Like, if you know my birthday, say what's up, happy birthday, cool, keep it pushing. If you don't, you don't.
Right.
So, and when people post a post about, oh, today's my birthday, or guess whose birthday it is, I'm like, you're really reaching for people to validate you.
Right.
Like your birth validates you. You're here. Yeah. You don't need people to tell you happy birthday. Right. And honestly, I only want to get it from people who know. Like, it doesn't bother me. It's just another day anyway. So whatever.
Right. And it's like, I think the key entity that we've lost in humanity and society is self-validation in general. we try to find our sources of being happy from other people or other things. With that Lambo is what makes me happy. But it's like, well, what do you perceive of yourself? If you're constantly looking for elsewhere, you're never going to actually be purely happy, because you don't have that anymore. You just have to always get it from the next best thing.
Right.
And it's just a huge chase on that.
It's happenstance, man.
It is.
We get our happiness from circumstances. But then there's joy. Now, joy is supposedly different from happiness. Like, joy is internal versus happiness comes from your happenstance. So maybe people need to be more joyful. Because happiness is going to change. I mean, I'm not always, cheery and chippy.
Right.
There's days where I'm like upset, and that's okay.
Right.
But if there's like always an overwhelming feeling of joy, even in the bad things, then that's okay.
Right.
You have to have both.
Right. Right. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'd feel, happy and joyous if somebody gave me like $1 million.
Oh,
that's for sure.
Of course.
I don't think.
But so here's what's funny about that. People always say actions speak louder than words. I've always disagreed with that. I think it's a misnomer, because when people say actions speak louder than words, what did they just use to tell you that?
Words.
So they
Never
don't.
Thought of it that way.
They don't. But here's the thing: you need both. Because
Right.
I told someone the other day, if someone gave you $1 million and didn't tell you where it came from or why they gave it to you, you would be suspect about that $1 million forever. You'd always wonder, okay, great, I got it, but where did this money come from? You probably couldn't spend it freely. You would feel weird about it.
Oh, that makes one of us.
No, I would. I would wonder if someone just gave me money for no reason, didn't tell me at all.
Right.
I would feel weird about it. Maybe I'd still take it.
Right.
Now, if someone offered you $1 million and never gave it to you, you'd be pissed off. Like, you said you'd give me $1 million.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I said I would, but I'll get it to you. And they never did, right?
Right.
Where actions and words come together is when someone says they're going to give you the money and they actually give it. They're equal. There's not one or the other. They're equal. That's a completely tangential thing I just came up because you said giving someone some money.
Right.
But I feel like people, and that's another thing about this show and words and just in general. Like, I think people understand is words and actions are equal. Like, you need both. Like, this show also wanted to be about us saying something, but then also doing it.
Right.
So we talk about something or we tease something the week before, we bring it in, we show it. And also in our lives outside this show, the things we learn, we're now responsible to do something with that. So that's another thing I want from this show, is for us to learn something and then actually do some things with it.
I actually, I not only do I want to do that, I want to grow with it. Like a lot of things we're talking about. We're going to talk about a lot of people in different industries. We're going to be talking to a lot of people that have done a numerous amount of things in our lives. Anything from like CBD businesses to athletes to book writers to people that survive cancer, things like that. Just getting that overall perspective, growing with it, and learning is just, I'm really, really excited.
Yeah,
about.
and we got a lot of people to talk to, so that's another good thing.
Right.
And there's also a lot of stuff out there that people don't know about. Like you mentioned CBD, and it's a huge industry right now, but a lot of people don't understand what even CBD is versus THC. What the legalities of it is now and how that's changing. And I think it's funny because our whole world is predicated on what we're told is legal.
Right.
But legal changes all the time.
Right.
Like at one point, it was legal to own slaves. So that was a right thing to do. And now it's not legal. Right. So it's like legal doesn't make things right or wrong. Like there's so many things out there that people could be doing. I mean, there's people in jail for literally the things that are being sold today.
Right.
So it's like, people have this weird vibe or stigma against, CBD, marijuana, THC, whatever. It's kind of like weird. Like it's not,
right.
It's not wrong. It's just you were told it was.
Right.
Because now it's right now. And I've always said this: once the government can make money on something, it's all good.
Right. And that's, what I'm excited about. That's one of our future podcasts that we have lined up. Just to let you guys know, we are going to be part of the CBD convention that's going on in Vegas. I believe it's the weekend of November 22nd. But before that, the weekend right before Thanksgiving. And on top of that, just to let you guys know what to expect from this show, every single week we're going to have a topic. Not only are we going to have a topic that me and Karmel are going to talk about, also Ryan is going to be a part of it as well. As soon as we get done talking about it, at that week up and leading to the next one, we're going to have a guest that's going to be an expert or a representative of that topic for them to display knowledge and also allow us to learn and everything with this as well.
All that. Yeah.
Right. And then on top of that, viewers, guests, either through the I Just Want to Know podcast Instagram or through the email are going to be able to ask questions and also elaborate on everything that we've discussed, so they can also be a part of. We want this to be as interactive as well. I want all the viewers, all the listeners, everybody to grow with us, because I just want this to be an entire experience. I just don't want this to be like your morning drive in, the 60 minutes that you have or whatever it is, and that just ends it. No, I want us to be able to get to a point where we talk about something and you're thinking about it in a manner that not only does it like have an influence on you, but also has an influence of the way that you can communicate with everybody else that's either A, listening to it, or B, that doesn't listen to it but interprets it in this certain way.
Yeah, I definitely want it to be a show that people look forward to watching and listening to. I know a lot of podcasts out there just talking. Like, let's just mic ourselves up and talk about what happened yesterday. I'm like, okay, that's cool. If like you like these dudes, that's like, you know, your thing. But like, I want to say stuff that people like want to hear. Or like, if we tease a show for next week, people are excited about the next week's show.
Right.
Because I get suggested a lot of podcasts, and I'm just like, why?
Right.
Like, why am I watching this? Like, this is so boring. Like, maybe 3 seconds of it is like, oh, that's funny, and then like, okay, I'm out.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's another.
Don't want to be that.
Right. Right. And I just don't want. Never the intent is to ever come on here just to say something or just to put out content with the intent of just putting out content. Mm-hmm. Like, again, everything that we're doing, and for me, is to reach out, connect with people, be able to talk about things on such a, you know, finite level, go way beyond the surface, and then constantly create that open path of communication on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
Right. So this show is going to be every Friday morning, right? Every Friday morning, every single week.
Dropping before your weekend.
Right. And then on top of that, because we are going to talk about a lot of social entities, we want to be able to talk about things like we're saying, talk about like women or dating or something like that, and be able to apply it during the weekend.
In a different way.
Right.
Because like the topic of dating is always brought up so much with TV shows or comedians, this, that, and the third, but it's like, okay, we've heard it that way, but let's do something different. Let's come at it from different perspectives. So, yeah. So before you get on, you know, your whatever app you use to find your mate for the weekend.
Tinder, Bumble,
what is that?
Hinge.
Hinge. That's the new one.
Yes, Hinge is the new one.
Hinge. Okay.
Oh,
so that's a really.
No, I mean, it's just funny how much we swipe right to things in general.
Right.
And it's funny about that though too, is because I'm not gonna lie, I'm on Bumble.
Okay.
And things like that. But it's funny because you swipe right, and now it's supposed to take away from the initial jitters of approaching people but now that you have this mutual attraction, that's why you both swipe right and you can start talking. But now you got to put up this really witty punchline. And if you don't have this really good witty punchline, then, you know, you're not going to get a call back, or you can't respond as soon as you connect with them or you match with them. You got to wait like the 2 or 3 days, and you're just like, oh. So this more difficult.
Way harder.
It's way more difficult. Way more difficult.
Wow. And this is Bumble?
This is Bumble. But I feel like that's just all online dating in general. Like, you find somebody attractive, you swipe right, you match with them, and then all of a sudden it's more difficult to talk to them. Because, I mean, for me, I'm really good at just talking to people, going up to people, you know, grabbing a drink, let's cheers to something random as hell, and then go from there.
Okay.
But like social media dating and everything like that, well, first, I guess you're sober and you're 100% sober. So therefore it's, you know, I guess I don't want to say harder approach, but you're just kind of more on the defense. And then another, right, after you get this whole thing. But man, it's just weird how you have to have a good punchline. You can't respond within certain times. It's just like the whole social media, like you got to act like you're way too good for them. You got to act like you don't like them, but you like them.
Oh,
bruh.
Wow. That's way too much pressure.
I mean,
that's way too much pressure.
That's why you see so many single people these days, though.
Yeah, because I mean, like, and even the term single, I think people find that oh, I'm single. Some people like the term, but some people, oh, I don't want to be single the rest of my life. Like, you're always single.
Yeah.
Even when you're married, you're still by yourself. you're still you with another person. Like, right. I think Jada and Will have a phrase about how their marriage and their relationship has come together. And I think it's probably the way I think marriage should be. Like, you're on this journey and you're learning about yourself, and you want to share what you're learning about yourself with someone else. But they're not there to make your journey better. They're not there to make you happy or complete you. You complete yourself. They complete themselves, and you just share this experience with one other person.
Right.
That to me sounds dope. Versus someone's got to do something for me, or has to do something for me, or I've got to do. I'm good on that. Like that.
Man, that's a whole other podcast to go into that.
For real. Yeah. But I need to know about these dating apps, man. That's just Hinge. That sounds weird. That's just a bad word.
Well, it's like really funny. So it's and it's just the way that they're portrayed. Like Tinder is like the hookup one. So like let's say you're in a new city, you're in there for like 24 hours. Like, man, when I lived in Vegas, Tinder was like the most downloaded and removed app within like 5 square miles, and it was retarded how many times it was downloaded and removed. So as soon as you land in McCarran, you download the app, you start swiping right and everything. Funny story about that. So when I lived in Vegas, me and my buddies, we all we left the club at like 2 a.m, and I put a bet on. I swipe right to everything within the hour, and to the point where Tinder says you can't swipe right to anything. And as long as I got a match by the end of breakfast or by the end of everything, I wouldn't have to pay for my meal. Otherwise, I would have to pay for their meal.
Wow.
I lost. I just want to say I lost. But it's just funny how, we've literally gone down to itemizing dating to that small perspective. Just like, someone's going to match with me real quick and everything like that, So
what's funny is people are like in bars or in social gatherings on a social app versus socializing.
Right.
Like literally in their phones in a bar, probably swiping left or right to people who are in that same bar.
Yo, speaking of which, could you imagine you're in a bar and then you see your profile pop up on somebody's phone right in front of you and they just swipe left, and it's an aggressive swipe left. What do you do?
You buy them a drink.
Yeah, could you?
That would be hilarious. You swipe left and as soon as you swipe left. So,
was my profile picture not good enough for you?
Right.
Or could you imagine you're the person that swipes left and that person comes up to you and you get approached in the same way?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that. That would be just comical.
That would be hilarious.
What do you do?
Well, see, that's a challenge. That's a fun challenge. Like, you can now have an opportunity to change your mind, and they might still go home with you. You never know.
Jeez. That'd be amazing. Could you imagine I feel like, what's funny, as I feel like if I was in a bar like that and I saw them swipe left to me, for some reason in my own aggression of being competitive, I'd be like, now I got to take that person home. I have to now. Like, I have to prove them. I have to prove the universe wrong, and I got to prove them wrong. Like, nah. I'm like, nah.
They also could have swiped left because you're the type that typically they do choose. And you're like, I'm done with these types. I'm gonna do something different.
Oh man, you're trying to take away my little victory lap if I take.
No, I'm saying it's still a challenge, but I'm saying maybe they're not swiping left because they don't like your profile, because maybe they do.
Man, see,
I don't know. I'm not.
This is exactly why dating is retarded. Like,
it is
retardedly difficult, hard to connect. It's not that I'm not leaving you because I don't want you. It's because I do want you, and that's why I'm gone. Like, what? What did that? And for a lot of women that makes sense. And for me that doesn't, because I feel like men are more logical, women are more emotional.
I've gotten that conversation before. Yeah,
we'll get on that. We'll bring a guest on. We'll talk about everything like that. Yeah. But that's crazy. That's crazy.
So you lived in Vegas for how long?
I lived in Vegas for 3 years.
How was that?
That was an experience.
3 years.
3 years.
Wow.
Man, I had a perception of how society ran and the I don't want to say the primitive behavior that happens when people, not men, but when people are secluded and have zero reciprocation or from their actions in an area that they're not going to really get judged on. But man, it's the only way I can describe is when I used to be in the Navy. I was in the Navy for 12 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
And then how every time, as soon as we're on a deployment and we're out in the middle of the sea and it's just us on this giant piece of moving land in the middle of the ocean, Vegas is the same way. How people go out, like you're in this area, nobody knows you. You're just on this big social whatever, and it's just crazy how people behave.
Like, yeah, I never looked at the military like that. Like,
oh my God,
really?
Deployments are a whole nother beast, man. Like, Like people just, you only have so many people on this little island that you can choose from to socialize with. And some people,
I'm thinking you're doing military things. I'm not even thinking you like got time to socialize, but I mean, I guess there's a lot of downtime.
No, there is a lot of downtime because
Okay.
you're on like a regular 8 hour, 5-day a week, 8-hour shift kind of thing. And then the rest of the day you have either A, working out, or B, sending emails, or doing qualifications and things like that.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Wow. So it went down like that on ships, huh?
Oh my God. Fan rooms. You're not supposed to, but yeah, there's a lot of scandals and things like that. We'll go into that in another podcast. But
wow.
there's some,
So
there's
you're
some
saying
things.
being on deployment in the Navy was similar to your time in Vegas?
Right. Except obviously Vegas, there's an infinite amount of people that you can can socialize and interact with per se. That's being PG about it. But and then on top of that, Vegas has a lot more accessibility to, substances than deployments do. But in behavior and in mindset, it's very primitive and very much of the same in both. And it is the craziest thing. Like it's like the first year you're there, you're just like, oh my God, like this is how it is. And the second year and third year, like, well, this is how it is. Like, and it is what it is. But then it's like, because I just moved back to LA. So now I'm just like, I'm so set on this Vegas mindset. And now it's just like, well, how do you adjust to regular society? Like, oh, hey, there's this thing called last call. Like, oh my God, last call exists. Like, people actually stop partying at one point or another.
Yeah, exactly.
You actually, not only when you go home to people that you actually know, that actually know you for longer than just the weekend. So now there's, it's accountability. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that trips me out about the military. Ryan, you weren't in the military, right? Wow. Yeah, I'm still tripping on. What's that? I always wanted to go. Me too. I always got talked out of it. See, I was the same way. My mom, I literally went to a recruiting office, took the test, I killed the test, and then they did like a little interview, background history. And my dad was in the service. He was a Marine, gunnery sergeant. So when I told him that, they was like, well, you got to join the service. You it's in your bloodlines. And my brother was in the Army and another brother was in the Navy. So I'm like, okay. And I was always interested, because all my brothers and my dad had done it. And so I said, what was it hurt just to go to the office? Went, met the guy. He gave me a ride home. I think I was a junior or senior in high school. And dropped me off. He, of course, just laid it on thick all the way home, telling me about this, and da-da-da. Get home. Soon as he drops me off, my mom pulls up from work. He drives off. My mom says, hey, who's that gave you a ride home? I'm like, it's a recruiting officer. He's from the Navy. I couldn't even get it out of my mouth before she snatched me into the car, and we were back driving to this recruiting office. And she drove so fast that we got there when he was getting out. And she went off. I mean, she just, don't you ever pick up my son and do whatever. He ain't doing no service. His dad was this and I ain't. She was pissed.
Oh my God.
She was pissed. That was it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
You know what's funny? So the last 3 years I was in the Navy, I was recruiting. That's why I was out in Vegas. And like dealing with parents, dealing with their misinterpretation, or little Johnny boy needs to get this job even though his scores don't qualify. Man, I don't want to say parents are the biggest deterrent for recruiting kids in the military, but parents are the biggest deterrent to recruiting kids in the military, because you got these kids that are, I don't want to say they're naive, but I mean, at 18, you're pretty much naive. You're pretty much unaware, but you kind of want to get some leverage in life. You want to be able to get ahead. So that's why these kids walk in. But then, like you're saying, parents then all of a sudden chastise you. Like, don't be telling, like, dude, he walked into my office. I'm just doing my job, And for me, when I was a recruiter, I never kept to numbers, because I didn't want to sign up somebody for like 4 or 5 years when I knew that the military wasn't for them. Because man, I think there's only 3% of all people that have ever served in the military. And I'm going to tell you this right now: the military is not for everybody. Not for everybody. And that's always funny when people are like, I should do college. Well, the military will always accept me. completely not true, especially with the advances in like medicine and the advances in the whole pre-screening and everything like that. Like it's a different monster to get in. Like if I were to try to join right now, my physical state and all the other things, I'm not eligible to join.
Wow.
After doing 12 and a half years, I'm not. And this is, let's say this is me, my body right now, 18. There's no way, because the screening process is crazy.
Really?
Right. And then you got to think about it as well. The amount of disabilities that a lot of people claim as soon as they get out, the money that the government owes them for the rest of the money. And mind you, if you come disabled out of the military, yeah, I mean, you deserve that money because you served our country and everything else. But the thing is, they got to make sure that when you go in, that A, the military isn't responsible for that, and B, it's something that ends up developing over time is that you don't have before. So when you go in to screen these days, they actually try to find what's wrong with you before they try to find to push you through. Wow. So now you got all these kids that think, well, I could just always fall back on the military because military, quote unquote, is for everybody, but it's not true. You have to have such a clean record. You have to be able to pass certain ASVAB scores. And not only that, like, you know, everybody could be doing grunt work regardless of what the branches are. So there's only so many job openings for each thing. So now you got to think about that, like how many people are allowed to be in certain jobs for amount of time. And so I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that the military is just available for everybody.
I thought that, in high school, and I always thought, well, you can always go to the military.
Well, no, but, and you know, the thing is, when I was 18, when you're 18, everything like that used to be the case. But nowadays, not anymore. It's definitely not.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Right.
You know, we're not just sending people out there with like, you know, nuclear weapons just because I got nothing else to do. So.
Oh man, yeah, no, man. And nuclear weapons, my God. So I was a nuke engineer in the Navy. So we'll talk about that. But nuclear energy, nuclear power, nuclear everything, that's also another big misconception amongst a lot of people. And I can't wait to be able to talk about that on a full topic.
Okay, all right.
And talk about
Looking forward to that too. Yeah, I didn't go, needless to say, but I still think like, I think I would have been a different person had I gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think I know some I think a lot of people who are or have been in the military, I kind of can tell that they have a way about them that feels like, okay, I could see some Army, Navy in that person. And there's some people I would never have guessed
right.
did 10, 15 years in the military.
Right.
You're one of them. You did not come off as military to me.
You know what? I take a lot of pride in that.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I was a nuke engineer, and the majority of us are like, the people that qualify for it are the high school like nerds, like the Magic players, the World of Warcraft players that don't have a really big social life, but they're really smart, but they have zero social skills. That's the stereotype of my MOS.
Okay.
And then so when people, you know, even in the Navy, were like, hey, you don't remind me of a nuke. I used to get so much joy out of that. Just be like, you're not your average nerd. Everything like that. Thank you. You know what I mean? So you're just saying I'm normal.
So you can't just drop an acronym and not explain what it was.
What, a nuke?
No. You said MOS.
MOS. That's their job. It's a job.
Okay.
Job.
What does MOS stand for?
Good question. It's MO and S. I don't know. In the Navy, we call it right. I think MOS is like Army or Marines, things like that. But yeah,
so that's when you just drop acronyms and
I don't
know what they mean. Just heard them for like 12 years.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You speak a certain language for 12.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, you know, the floor is a deck. The wall is a forgot what the walls are. Bulkheads. That's what it is.
Bulkheads.
Water fountains are scuttlebutts.
Okay.
You know, like you get into that.
The bathroom
weird,
is the head.
The head.
I never understood that.
Right. You get in all these acronyms. You don't even know what you're saying until after, right?
Yeah.
And when you get out, you're like, oh my God, it's a different language. It's like the whole Rosetta Stone, everything. You know.
Wow.
That. So
I know a lot of it was, or some of the Navy and Army, or even just like radio talk was to hide stuff from the enemy. Mm-hmm. But like after a while, you're like, okay, why are we still saying this? Like it's 30 years later, or 40 years later, like. You can just call it a bathroom now. Like,
right.
You know,
yeah.
I get I know a lot of the codes and all that stuff, like, you know, the alphabet, it's all like different worded names.
Right.
But like they all speak English now too, so I think we can just get rid of all that.
Right.
What's the point?
Right.
So you, as a nuke engineer, like what would a day for you look like?
What would a day like for me look like? So the reactor always operating. There's 2 reactors. I was on a carrier, the Carl Vinson carrier.
Okay.
And there's 2 reactors on there. So every single reactor had a 24-hour watch, 24 hours a day. They usually you change it into five different watches. So you'd have like 7 to noon, noon to 5, 5 to like 10, 10 to 2, 2 to 7, and then start that all over again. You'd be on one of those 5 watch things. So every 15 hours, you'd be on 5 hours of watch. So we call it 5 and 15s.
Okay.
You would do that. You would study for whatever, because on a nuclear reactor, there's always something to learn. You'd always be doing maintenance because something always breaks. And then after that, you would be training because you're operating on nuclear reactors. So, dude,
I think there's one place in the world where I want people to already know everything is a nuclear reactor. But you're telling me you're learning while you're on this thing.
Right. Because not every watch station, not every watch that you do, you need to record. You need to know everything. So you need to know what actually your role is on that watch team, or what your role is in that maintenance item. But that doesn't mean you have to know about everything in its entirety. So, I mean, you should, and you should learn as much as possible. But, I mean, if there's one thing about nuclear power, nuclear energy, anything or any vice or any vessel that is completely operated off of pure theory needs to be studied on a regular basis. And
yes,
and my God, I mean, and I'm going to tell you how stressful this job is, right? So the job, so when you're 2 years in, as soon as you qualify, you be qualified through the Department of Energy. And as soon as you qualify and get your rate, you get your security clearance and everything, the average kid gets offered a 2-year extension for $75,000, half up front, an advancement in rank, and at least half of those people say no. So could you imagine, you're 20 years old, completely naive to money, right? When you get this offered, you get this pay raise that's going to get you effectively 75 to 80K a year. You're getting this 75,000 plus, depending on I've seen up to like 90 something. And if you do it in a tax-free zone, everything is tax-free. You get half of that up front. So let's say you get 45K in your checking account, right? With the rest of the 45 being distributed based on how many years you have on your contract. And half those kids say no. That's how stressful that job is.
Wow.
So, I mean, you have the stresses of the military, which is the Navy. Then you have the stresses of operating in nuclear power. And that, in general, are 2 different stresses. It's like, you
did that for how long?
I did that for 12 and a half years. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, I'm Asian, but yet people can know, you look like you're 32. Like, yeah, I look exactly my age. I only could feed off the Asian genetics for so long and try to look so long, But on the same token, I don't want to say that's more like probably me partying and anything else.
Well,
I did say I lived in Vegas for 3 years, so and those weren't exactly the cleanest 3 years.
Yeah, that probably equal 12 years in a nuclear reactor.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. But the amount of radiation and everything you get and the health and everything is not actually as bad as what people think it is. So I'm being serious. You actually get more radiation from being out in the sun on an annual basis than you'll ever get from a nuclear reactor operating on it.
Really?
Well, because there's so many levels amount of shielding. There's so many other levels of piping and the, I don't want to get too far into that, but there's all that.
Yeah. So when you got that offered, did you go in wanting to be on a nuclear reactor? What made you, did someone say, okay, look, now let me got 2 offers. You can go on a fishing expedition and tour Sumatra. Right. Or a nuclear reactor.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the nuke community is always undermanned, and because you don't find too many people that have the 90 plus ASVAB scores. So when I went in there, I was a recruiter's dream. I was playing online poker at the time. That's when Ultimate Bet was still going on. Okay. And one of the recruiters was telling me, hey, I always wanted to join the Navy, and I always wanted to do something of that because I didn't want to start college immediately. I think I was just procrastinating, to be honest. But then he told me about the new community, told me about the bonuses, told me whatever. So I walked in the recruiting office. I was already a chem engineer major. And they were like, hey, we'll take this practice test. I blew it out the water. All right, do the ASVAB. All right, I blew that out the water. Like, hey, you qualify for the job that you wanted. Like, holy crap, right? And so when you're going in for something and you qualify for it, how could you not want it? But then it took me a while to actually put my signature on paper because I didn't know, trying to obligate, because this is actually a 6-year obligation because you do 2 years of training before you actually step out in the fleet. And with this, it wasn't until I actually got my girlfriend pregnant. And then I'm like, hey, I kind of want to do something with my life. I don't want my parents taking care of my kids or my daughter at that time, obviously just one. So therefore, I was like, well, I want to be able to do this. I really don't know this girl, but at least it gives me 2 years of training where I'm not going out to sea. And then I'm learning for a job that I'm be able to apply for the rest of my life. And then that's what got me to sign up, man. And that was an experience in its entirety, obviously 12 and a half years, young parenting, marrying people because you got them pregnant. I don't know how many life lessons you could get out of that. Like you can make a whole life game off of that experience in general.
Been there. Know all about that.
All right.
Wow.
So anyways, so I guess that's a wrap up almost of like our first episode. The next episode we're going to talk about is going to be CBD, talk about it in its entirety. That's a completely, I don't know. It's a topic that I'm completely, I don't want to say ignorant of, but I'm very unaware of.
I know very little.
Okay.
But I'm all about holistic medicine.
Right.
Just period. I'm all about holistic medicine. So if it's something that's natural, something that's organic, something that's from the earth itself, I'm all about it. So
okay.
The CBD community, I've learned a little. I actually used to write for a medical marijuana doctor, but I didn't know a thing about medical marijuana. I just can write. Right. So they wanted me to write some stuff, and I kind of just researched. And through that, I kind of learned a lot because I would write these blogs about the industry and the community and all that. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of dope. So
right.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about it and talk to more folks and get some info and get some CBD.
Right. Yep. Like you said, we're going to talk about it next week. Then we're going to be at the CBD convention, actually interviewing people that run that convention, and then we'll end up going from there.
Cool.
All right.
All right, man.
Well, I guess this wraps up our I Just Want to Know podcast, episode 1, our pilot episode.
Is this 1? Is this 1? Is this 0?
Pilot 0.
Is it 0.5?
Say 0.
Okay, 0.
We'll say 0.
We'll say
going from there.
Cool.
But thank you guys very much.
Yeah. Shout out High Power Studios.
All right. We out.
Hey.